Welcome to One Girl in All the World, a Buffy the Vampire Slayer rewatch podcast where we recap each episode in order and discuss. I'm Ashley, Buffy superfan.
I'm Kimmy, Buffy newbie.
You can find us on all major podcast apps, YouTube, and Instagram with new episodes on Tuesdays. So, welcome to Season 2.
Season 2,
yes. It's a strong start. Even though I have problems with this episode, but
yeah,
it's a strong start. Like Season 1 is still very much alive in this episode.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, actually, a lot of stuff came up.
Yeah, so we will get into all of that. So I will do the synopsis and all that. So the air date of When She Was Bad, which is episode 1 of season 2, aired on September 15th, 1997, written and directed by Joss Whedon. And the synopsis is, when Buffy returns home to Sunnydale after spending the summer away, Xander and Willow become concerned with her disturbingly cold and distant behavior. Meanwhile, Cordelia and Sunnydale High teacher Miss Calendar are kidnapped, and Buffy is convinced that the fight to protect them and the world from the undead is hers alone. Still reluctant to risk getting close to Angel, Buffy turns him away before either one can express his or her true feelings.
Wow, that really captured the whole episode.
There's a lot going on here, for sure.
Yeah.
So when we start the episode, we get this is a season 1. It's not the Slayer thing. It's fine. It's fine.
It's just the normal opening credits.
It's like the season 1 recap. It's like last season.
Yeah, right.
Last season on Buffy, which totally should be there. So
I'm glad they did that.
Then we go into the actual episode, and we're in a graveyard. So this starts the pattern. Every season premiere after this, so 6 season premieres, the first scene is in a graveyard.
Really?
Yeah.
Because that was my first thought. Like when they opened the graveyard, I was like, well, this is weird. Why are they doing that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought
Welcome
it was
to the
super weird
Hellmouth.
that they did that.
Welcome to the Hellmouth is the only one that will not, only season premiere that will not happen in a graveyard. Like
Interesting.
The first scene.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So we're in a graveyard, as I said, and Willow and Xander are walking and just hanging out. Xander's eating an ice cream. They're playing like a movie quote game. And they're talking about how quiet the summer's been. It's been boring. And Xander asks if Willow's heard from Buffy. And she says that she got a few postcards from her when she first left to go spend the summer in LA with her dad, but she didn't really hear anything after that.
Which surprised me.
Kind of been radio silence from Buffy.
Yeah.
And Xander's very intrigued about when she's going to come back. Mm-hmm. This part was like so weird.
Especially because it didn't match the whole rest of the episode.
Well, it's like it contradicted itself in the whole in the scene itself.
Yeah.
Because Xander is saying, "Oh, I don't care when Buffy's coming back."
Over her.
Yeah, and she's like, "Sure," and he pretty much immediately admits it, that he's still kind of interested in her.
Yeah, of course.
He's like, "I have needs, I have desires." Ew, okay.
Yeah, that was gross too. Exactly. Yeah.
And then he puts his ice cream cone on Willow's nose to do a Witness quote. Have you ever seen Witness?
I have not. So I didn't know what this was.
It's basically it's a good movie. It's about a little Amish boy who witnesses a murder.
Oh.
So basically a cop or like an agent has to like go undercover in the Amish community to protect him because they think people are going to come after the little boy because he's the sole witness of this murder. If I'm remembering the plot correctly, and they're like in town, and this like the Amish people are in town, and this asshole like does that. He puts his ice cream on the Amish person's face because they were like pacifist, like they basically like they're not gonna like get into a fight stereotypically anyway, and he's kind of just like bullying this Amish guy, like messing with him and putting like the ice cream on his face and everything.
Oh.
So that's what that whole reference is. The other ones were obvious because they even said, she said,
I recognized all of the other ones, but that one, yeah.
It's a good movie. I haven't seen it in years.
Okay.
But yeah, it's worth a watch. Okay. I don't know if it stands up because it's been a while, but there you go.
All right.
And then this weird thing happens. Where he was basically saying he's still into Buffy without actually saying it. He was implying it. Mm-hmm. And Willow knew that.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden it looks like they have a moment and it looks like Xander's
tender.
They're going to kiss.
Yeah, it does.
Like, what?
Well, especially like her nose looks so delicious.
Yeah. And then they just start getting closer and closer. And then they start to pull
close.
back.
Like they're like basically kissing. Like,
yeah.
so.
I mean, we don't see it.
No,
but it was so close. There was like no misunderstanding that. Like, I don't know how they didn't have a conversation about that later. Like, we definitely almost kissed. It wasn't like it could have been misinterpreted. They were like an inch from the touching lips. And then they pulled back a little bit, and then we see, there's a vampire there. Ah! And as Xander, ruins a moment. And Xander's like, get out of here, Willow. And he tries to fight the vampire.
Yeah, that was cute, I guess.
Badly.
Yeah.
And thankfully, Buffy shows up and does a really cool staking of the vampire, kicks him onto a tree branch. Another tree branch staking, but this one he kind of like flies. Yeah. And then gets impaled on the tree branch. Which is pretty cool. And I love when she's like, miss me? I just loved that. Yeah, that was cute. That last part of that scene. Yeah. So we get opening credits, and did you notice anything different about the credits?
No, I tried watching them to see if I noticed anything different, and I didn't really see anything.
David Boreanaz is in the credits now.
Oh. Okay, I guess I don't remember him not being in them.
Yeah, he wasn't in the first.
I guess I didn't pay much attention to the credits the first time.
I don't think he was considered a season regular because he was only in like a handful of episodes. He wasn't in like...
that's true. Okay. So
I think he's officially like a season
regular.
Yeah, he moved on up. Okay. And we didn't get a lot of new little clips for season 2.
No.
There was mostly stuff from season 1. There were a few ones from season 2, but not
plethora.
Thank you. Of new stuff to kind of dissect and like see what's going on there. Yeah. So yeah, it was just a little bit. So we go back into the episode, and we're back in the graveyard. Buffy obviously says she's just got back. That her dad just drove her. He said drove me down, which doesn't make sense.
She means up.
She means up, but like I do that all the time. I always say up and down, and it's not the correct thing when we're going in a direction. So that's fine. She misspoke because Sunnydale is north of LA, not south.
It has to be. Yeah.
Yeah. And she just kind of said, what was your summer like? Did you have fun? Willow says yes. Xander says no. And she kind of chastises them for not even having a steak, being in the graveyard at night and not even having a steak. And they're like, we haven't seen a vampire since we killed the master.
This was the first one, yeah.
Yeah, and he said, you missed all the fun of us burying the master, that he's buried over there by a tree, and that they poured holy water and they wore robes with Giles, Willow, and Xander buried the master.
Giles chanted or something? Not chanted or said something? Or
yeah, I think so.
Cited
so that was the highlight of the summer.
And she said her summer was yawn-worthy?
Yeah. Did she? Or did Xander?
Xander said their summer was yawn-worthy.
Yeah, Buffy said she shopped, partied. He says, have you seen Giles? She's like, why would I see Giles? I'll see him at school. Which was weird.
Harsh. Yeah, that was a little harsh since they had developed their relationship.
I will say the Buffy-Giles relationship, a couple other relationships too, but the Buffy-Giles relationship really disappointed me in this episode.
I mean...
it let me down.
One-sided, yes.
Yeah, it let me down.
Yeah.
So in Buffy's room, we see her dad, Hank, and her mom, Joyce, and they're for some reason unpacking her stuff. I don't know why she wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, I think that's weird too.
But they're unpacking her suitcases, and he obviously let her do a lot of shopping.
Oh my God, did he ever?
Yeah. He's overcompensating because he said that Buffy seemed different and distant. Just like distant, disconnected, and that, he compensated by shopping. And
I thought this was a nice moment because I felt like they were connecting as parents to them not being connected to her.
Yeah, they were doing a good job of trying to co-parent, I guess.
Yeah.
They're checking in on like what's going on with their kid because Joyce did say, did she manage to stay out of trouble? And
he's like, I almost preferred it when she was burning things down. At least I knew what to say.
Yeah, I knew what to say. So yeah, they don't really know what to do with her right now. She's in this weird.
So weird.
Yeah, she's being strange, and they just don't know how to relate at the moment.
Yeah.
In the quad. Cordelia's walking with some of her posse, saying that she's complaining that her family took her to Tuscany instead of St. Croix.
It's so harsh when that happens.
A life that this girl has to endure.
She suffered so much without the beach.
Without the beach for like a month and a half. Oh my God. Poor thing. So very Cordy. She was complaining about that. Like, you wouldn't believe what happened to me on my vacation.
Museums? Ugh.
Museums and art. Yeah. What could be worse for Cordelia. Then they bypass and we see Giles and Snyder. I love this whole scene.
This was really funny. Yeah, some of my favorite lines are in this scene, actually.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was great from beginning to end. So they're talking about the first day of school. And, Giles is kind of like wistfully like, yeah, isn't it nice?
He's cute. He's happy. He's excited.
Like, yes, you're right. It's so nice. And then he's like, they swarm like locusts. And he's like, oh, okay, this isn't going where I thought it was going. You're like talking about it in a negative way. And I'm thinking about it in a positive way. And thank you, Giles, for finally asking the question we've all been asking. Why did you become a principal, Snyder?
If
like, you hate kids.
The way he says it, have you ever considered with your abhorrence to children, the school principal was not perhaps your true vocation?
Yes.
True Giles form.
Yes. Never has a sentence been more Giles-fied.
And just a bunch of hormonal time bombs.
Time bombs.
That's my favorite line, by the way.
We get that line again in like season 6.
Really? The same line? Just a bunch of hormonal time
5 or
bombs?
6.
That's funny. Okay.
Well, the hormonal time bomb. Ooh. Yeah, that part. Yeah, I was like, yeah, everybody, yes. Why are you principal? And he's like, somebody needs to keep an eye on these kids. So he's like doing society a favor by like, putting his foot down with these children.
I feel like he should be like an actuary or something.
What's that?
Where they
I know the word, but
they calculate people's risk of death.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can see that.
He'd be really good at that. Yeah. Just sit and like calculate.
I think he'd been a good lawyer.
He would have been a really good lawyer, actually. You're right.
I think that would be a good one too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he says, he needs someone to teach them Well, first of all, he says they just like whenever a pretty girl walks by, they turn into idiots or something like that. And Giles turns into an idiot when Miss Calendar comes
walks
up.
By. He starts,
yeah,
and then the principal's like, and they get all their gaze is all moony, and then you look at them and they're all moony gazing at each other.
Yeah, they definitely are like, hi, how was
like
your
teenagers.
summer? Yeah. It's so funny. And Giles says, oh, do you want to go to the faculty lounge? She's like, okay. And they walk off. And Snyder's still talking to himself. Mm-hmm. He's like, we have to teach these kids about punctuality and this and that.
Responsibility.
He's like, responsibility. But it's like, I'm talking to myself. And he's just standing there talking to himself.
And he doesn't even realize it. Yeah.
Giles left. I love it.
Snyder. Yeah.
So when we go into the hallway, we follow Giles and Jenny. And
this conversation's funny.
Yeah, it's good. She says that she went to Burning Man, which is a festival in the desert.
Sounds very Miss Calendar.
Yeah, and it's pretty wild. It's like an art kind of festival. They have like big installations.
Art and music and stuff,
yeah,
too?
It's like all kinds of things.
Bunch of hippies.
She did like naked mud dances and all kinds of stuff. And he's like, what naked? Like, that got his attention. She's like, you would have hated it. And she said, I bet you spent your whole summer with a nose in a book. He's like, oh, you probably think that's pretty dull. She's like, depends on the book. So they're definitely flirting with each other.
Yeah, I thought that was cute too. Depends on the book.
Yeah, this is definitely moving along. Mm-hmm. So the kids, Buffy, Willow, and Xander come down the stairs to see him. And he kind of greets Buffy, and she seems kind of standoffish with him.
Yeah,
that's how she is. She's like, I'm fine. Like, yeah. But Buffy's acting weird for sure.
Yeah.
She tells him that there was a vampire in the graveyard last night, which I feel like it shouldn't be that big of a surprise. But I guess they're establishing to the audience that just because the Hellmouth isn't open anymore, like, it doesn't matter whether it's opened or closed. I mean, it does matter to a degree. But they're still it's not like when the Hellmouth closes that it's just a normal town now.
Exactly. No.
Things are still drawn here. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they make that clear to the audience that no matter what's going on, this Hellmouth is still going to attract demons and vampires and supernatural forces.
Yep.
Giles tells Buffy, when you're ready to train, let me know. You can take a few days. She's like, no, I'm ready now. I'll see you after school. And he's like, well, you can take, no, I'm fine. I'm good. Bye. And I'll see you after school, and takes off.
Very curt, very professional.
Yeah. He does seem like already can tell like something's up with her.
Off. Yep. Yeah.
So we go to the library and we see like a very intense
training montage.
Yeah, Buffy's going crazy.
Yeah, she's stronger. She looks stronger.
Yeah. And I love her new hair. We didn't talk about her new hair.
Her new hair is cute.
Her loving it. It's cute. And yeah, she's just like, what do you call that? It's like that thing that she's beating on. There's a name for
bag?
them.
The punching bag.
It kind of is.
A boxing bag?
It's like a boxing dummy or a karate dummy kind of, where it just has like the pads on it and you're just wailing on it, but it's like the different parts of a body.
Yeah.
It's like a stick figure. Like a stick figure human
Made
with
out of wood.
pads on it. Yeah, made out of wood. That she's, or like a scarecrow or something, that she's beating the crap out of. And he keeps telling her, okay, Buffy, that's enough, but she's not there. She's like totally in her head.
Yeah.
And we see that the master flashes onto the screen, because we see that she's like having flashbacks about the master.
Yep.
And then she kicks the whole thing in half and breaks it in half.
Yep.
And you can tell, he's like, well, I'm glad you stayed in shape.
Yeah.
And she basically says, whatever they have coming next, I'm going to be ready. And she's definitely agitated.
Yeah.
Like, she's...
At this point, I feel like they're kind of trying to show us that she is, like, PTSD from what happened with the master.
Yeah, she's definitely exhibiting trauma. She's having flashbacks and just being distant and all
And
this.
not talking to anybody. Yep.
So we go to a factory.
Okay, I wrote that in my notes. Factory question mark?
Yeah, it's a factory. That'll be a popular set this season.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Okay.
It's a factory. And it doesn't say it in the episode that I can recall, but in the captions it says Absalom is that vampire's name that's giving
the new guy.
Yeah, that's giving the kind of like his little speech.
Absalom. Okay.
So he's rallying the troops and saying in 3 days the Anointed One, remember him, is going to lead them. Gestures to Colin. So Colin's still there. He's got
there.
The Order of Aurelius is still rallying around him and kind of going for the next plan B, I guess, since the master didn't really work out. So we don't know what they're up to exactly, but they're definitely planning something.
In the
3 days. In the student lounge room.
Oh, that's what that is. I wrote comfy couches.
I wrote student area, and then I looked online, and it was been called student lounge room. So that's what
they didn't have it in the last season, so I was like, what is this?
No, we'll get it the next 2 seasons.
Okay.
Here and there.
Okay.
Buffy, Willow, and Xander are catching up. And Buffy says that she's been having weird dreams. And then they have a really awkward moment with Willow when she says, first Xander says, dreams are meaningful. And she's like, and Willow says, yeah, I had this dream about Xander. I mean, my friend had it and she doesn't even remember it. Like, smooth. Xander is like, ooh. Like, doesn't even, like, get it. Which,
register. Nope, that's fine.
If it was anybody else, I would find that a little bit less believable, but it is Xander. He's very thick. I forgot to mention, I think, that when they met on the staircase, that Buffy had told Giles about the vampire, and he said he was going to look it up. And, like, to go to his books and kind of see if there was any, maybe, reason that the vampires were showing up again.
Coming in, yeah.
I don't know why, because he said that they're still going to be there, so I don't know why
exactly. I noticed that, too. I thought that was kind of weird, but yeah.
Didn't track. He comes to warn her that the vampires are up to something, and Buffy's like, it's okay, we'll handle it, we'll figure it out, and he's, like, kind of agitated, and he says, I've killed you once, it shouldn't be too difficult to do it again. And she's like, what?
And we're all like, what?
Giles, what are you talking about? And he basically pushes her. She falls onto the table, and he's starting to choke her. And Willow and Xander are just eating their lunches, like
yeah, nonchalant, like nothing.
Yeah, like they're watching Saturday morning cartoons, like nothing's going on. And Buffy like grabs Giles' face, and basically it's like essentially like a mask type of effect. He pulls it off, and it's the master.
Yep.
And here's a fun fact that I learned I didn't know before. They didn't bring the guy that played the master back for this, so guess who's playing the master?
Who?
David Boreanaz.
Really?
You can tell that the face is different. Like, even with the prosthetics, it doesn't look like the same person. Because, it still shapes around your face, you know?
Oh.
And I was like, oh, that's not the same person. But I looked it up, and it was David Boreanaz, apparently. It's like he just, like, stepped in to be the master for that.
It's funny because, like, in that specific scene, I was like, I thought it kind of looked like David Boreanaz, but I was like, that's just weird. So, no. And I didn't think that in any other scene, but in that one, I was just like, oh, weird, it looks like him. But I was like, no, that must not be right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's funny.
Something's off there, but that's what it is.
All right, cool.
He's choking her to death, essentially, and then she wakes up in her bedroom. So
it's a dream.
Spoiler alert, you didn't get it by now. Giles has not been, like, the master has not been moonlighting as Giles this whole time. Big reveal in the season premiere. No, she's having a dream. Now, I was trying to, like, think about, like, why was it Giles? Like, what was the meaning behind that?
I think it's because she just feels so, well, I mean, not right now, I guess, but like in general, she feels so connected to him. That's like a father figure to her. So that's like kind of like a nightmare come true again, almost like that Nightmares episode, maybe.
That's a good point. I was also thinking, like, because she kind of felt betrayed by him that he didn't, especially in the beginning of Prophecy Girl, that he didn't come up with a plan. Or he
Actually,
didn't
yeah.
come up with a way around it. So maybe there's some,
true.
like,
Residual
resentment there. Yeah.
Okay.
And, like, she's not talking to him about any of this. She's not talking to anybody, so it's not specific to Giles.
Yeah.
But just, there's a lot of ways to interpret it. So there's a kind of a positive connotation on Giles and a negative one. So you don't really know. Let us know what you think. So Buffy wakes up in her bedroom, kind of like jolts awake, because obviously it's not a good dream. And we see Angel's just hanging out in her room.
He's hanging out in the windowsill. He's not like quite in her room. He's waiting to be invited in.
He's in there. He's been invited in. He's in her room, but he's sitting
waiting
on the
to be
windowsill.
like, he's just waiting to be completely invited in.
He's there.
Trying to be polite, okay?
It's fine. I'm just saying. He's just hanging out in there waiting for her to wake up. And she's like, whoa, oh, hello. Okay, hi.
Yeah, that's kind of weird to wake up to that.
And he says that the Anointed One is gathering forces. He doesn't know what's going on, but just to let her know that there's been rumblings and he's amassing a force.
Yeah.
And it's very awkward because she says, okay, was that all you wanted?
Yeah.
You're just here again to always just drop some danger knowledge and then disappear, basically. Yeah. So it's awkward.
Yeah. And well, even in the beginning when she's like, what is this, a social call? Mm-hmm. She's like, it's late for me, but is this lunchtime for you?
Yeah.
Harsh.
Yeah. She's not confiding or being comfortable with anyone.
Yeah.
Her parents, her friends, her watcher, her love interest, nobody.
Yeah.
And
she's just pulling away from everybody.
Yeah. And pulling away and pushing them away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Pushing. Yeah, that's actually better.
Both.
Pushing them away. Yeah.
And she's like, okay, well, I'm going to go to sleep because you woke me up from a really good dream where I was being choked to death by the master. And he says, okay, I'll go. And then before he goes, he said, I missed you. And then she hesitates and turns over to say, I missed you. And then he's already gone.
He's gone. Yeah.
He's gone. Yeah. So that was a cute scene.
That was a cute scene.
Awkward, but cute. In the car, Joyce is driving Buffy to school, we assume. And she had trying to make conversation with her, saying, how are your classes? She's like, good. And Joyce knows something's wrong. But she says, is there even any point of me asking you what's wrong? Would you even tell me? Yeah. And Buffy just looks at her. She's like, yeah, that would take the fun out of guessing what's wrong. Of course, you're not just going to tell me so we can work it out.
Yeah, her mom's actually cute. Like, she's trying.
Mm-hmm. She's a good mom.
Yeah.
She's had her growing pains.
Yeah.
And she will continue to. Mm. But, no parent's perfect.
No.
And she's there for Buffy.
Yeah.
Tries to be. Yeah. She makes her mistakes, but she's there.
Yeah.
And she loves her and is present, so.
Yeah.
So, the continuity is a bit messed up here. I don't know if you noticed. So, the next scene, we go to the hallway, and Buffy's wearing a completely different outfit. Hairstyle, outfit, very different. And then the next day, like that's supposed to be the start of the day, right? She's being driven to school. Yeah. Then they're in the hallway. Then she goes to the bronze, yada, yada, yada. And then the next day, she shows up with the exact hairstyle and outfit. So obviously that was meant to be put later. Yeah. And they moved it. So it was so jarring to me.
That's hilarious.
Because her hair's up in a French twist.
I'm curious.
She's wearing like a blue tank top, and then she's got her hair down with a white shirt.
Our watchers, did you guys notice this? Or are you like being clueless and just were like, oh, la-di-da?
Well, also, in film school, I did a lot of like script supervising, and that's like your job. To be like, oh, there's like continuity. That's one part of your job is continuity.
Okay.
So you're like, this doesn't make sense. So, if you ever see just, if you don't know if you ever like on Instagram or whatever of like a show where it's just like Polaroids of like the actors and actresses, they're just like in their trailers and stuff, but they just have pictures. I don't know if you've ever seen that stuff. That's continuity pictures. That's so you know how your hair was, how many buttons were done, what jewelry was on, what their makeup looked like. Because you have to have the same look for sometimes several days.
That's so crazy.
Because a day in your script or whatever can last. Yeah. A whole movie could be one day, so you have to look the same every day.
Okay, that's fascinating. Yeah, this is stuff I totally don't notice.
So Like, actually, they have a lot of Buffy ones out on Instagram and stuff. I'll try to send you.
Okay. I feel like I can't be the only one, or you can't be the only one that noticed that, though. I'm sure other people noticed that.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just something that threw me, and I was like, oh. So, we're on a different day, but it's supposed to be the same day in the hallway, and Buffy is telling Willow and Xander that Angel stopped by. Mm-hmm. And just saying, nope, it was all shop talk. Like, Willow was kind of like, oh, what happened? Yeah. And she's like, nope, nothing but shop talk. And that's really it. Like, and they just kind of dismisses it, that's all it was.
And then they just start talking about the Browns.
Yeah. Xander says that Chiyomato is playing at the Bronze. And Willow's obviously a fan. Mm-hmm. And wants to go see them. And then, so that's kind of I guess, like, they were making plans to go to the Bronze to see this band. Cordelia walks up and asks if they fought any demons over the summer.
Just in the middle of the hallway. Yep.
Yeah. And they're all like, cool it, girlfriend. Like, you can't be telling people about that. She's like, you think I would tell people I hung out with you guys? No. So don't worry about it. I'm not going to tell anyone that Buffy's the Slayer. Your secret's safe with me.
And then Buffy's like, you won't tell anyone I'm a Slayer, and I won't tell anyone you're a moron.
Yeah, and then walks away.
Wow.
And Cordelia's softening with her blows, right? Yeah. When she came up, she called them the Three Musketeers, and they were like, are you trying to insult us? Like, Xander's like, I would have went with Three Stooges. Like, he's trying to, like, help her out, like, with her insults. So she didn't have the same punch that Cordelia usually has.
The bite is gone.
Yeah. But Buffy definitely was more of a Cordelia in that moment. Yeah. So they notice it. Willow especially notices that that's not like Buffy. Yeah. To kind of bite like that when not totally provoked. In the Bronze, we see the band Chiyomato, and you wouldn't probably know this, but the guitar player, the guy, that is Sean Lennon, John Lennon's youngest son.
I would have definitely not known that, no. Okay, interesting. Cool.
Yeah, I'm more of a Julian fan myself, but I do like Sean Lennon enough. I follow him on Instagram and stuff, and I've always known that it was him. I was like watching this. I was like, oh yeah, Sean Lennon's in this episode. So he's in that band.
Cool. Okay.
It's a real band, and he was in it, but he's solo now. He's been this is obviously 25 years ago. So, so Yoko Ono is his mom. Cool. So you know who that is, I'm sure.
Yes, I do.
I know you know who John Lennon is, but like that's the kid from their marriage.
Okay.
And he has an older son as well. So there's a little cameo from Sean Lennon.
Cool.
And Xander and Willow are sitting at a table, and Willow is really saying, like, I'm worried about Buffy.
Yeah, she's not herself.
She's being different.
She's being mean.
Different. And she said, but she's never been mean.
Yeah, she's never been mean, yeah.
Yeah. So Xander is brushing her off about her concerns, and Willow's the first one. Kind of, Giles is like, He comes around later, but Willow's the first one to be like, something is wrong here. Yep.
She's the most intuitive, for sure.
Yeah. Xander is distracted because he's looking. Didn't Buffy say she was going to be here? Where is she? Like, God. And poor Willow.
As he's doing that, she tries to recreate the ice cream moment. She puts ice cream on her nose, and it's just like, oh, so Willow. Sad. It is, yeah, actually.
He's literally there looking for another girl, and you're trying to get him, like, to recreate this moment. When he was talking about another girl in that moment, too. Like, ow. Have a little more self-respect for yourself, you know? And he says, oh, you have something on your nose. And she's like, okay. That didn't really work out because he's just totally distracted.
Yep.
We're in the cemetery at the Master's grave, and the Anointed One and Absalom, is that what I said his name was?
Yeah, I think so.
They're there with a bunch of lackeys and telling them to dig. Some of them have shovels, and it's not going fast enough. So he's like, you guys just dig with your hands. And then it starts, like, burning them, which is cool. He's like,
they use holy water.
They use holy water. So, like, they're digging with their hands, and it's burning them. And he's like, that's okay. Keep going. Who
cares? Do it anyway.
Yeah. So they're, like, digging, and their like, hands are burning and sizzling.
And
then they finally come across the Master's skull. So they find them. I gotta be honest. Giles didn't bury them very...
No.
Like, low. I feel like a dog could have dug that up and been running around. You know what I mean? With the Master's rib cage or whatever. At the Bronze, Buffy finally arrives, and she sees Angel. Angel thinks that Buffy's mad at him. He's like, I feel like I've done something to make you angry. Mm-hmm. And she's like, no, you haven't. And, you know, I didn't spend the whole summer mooning over you. I moved on to the living.
Yeah, that was a harsh job, man.
So she leaves, walks away from him. and walks up to Xander and says, let's dance in a very sexy way.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Suggestive way. And then they go on the dance floor and Buffy just has this like very sexy dance with Xander while Willow and Angel look on.
Just watch. Yeah, like that's just so... And then she's just getting closer to him and like practically like rubbing up against him.
Yeah.
She's like, I never thanked you for saving my life.
Yeah. And he looks uncomfortable, honestly. He's like, what is she playing at? It is not like he's just like, yeah.
No, he's not. He doesn't seem super into it. Slightly into it.
I think he's confused. Mm-hmm. And it feels like he could be being used, which he is.
Yep.
And it's unfair to everyone in this whole situation.
Yeah.
She's like hurting 3 people by doing this. Yep. First of all, I guess your best friend has a huge crush on him.
Yeah, exactly.
The guy that likes you, you're trying to make him jealous, and then you're leading Xander on.
Just stupid.
In the last episode, you said you don't see him like that.
Yeah.
And then she just finishes her dance and leaves.
Well, as she walks away, though, she pats Willow on the leg. She just gives her a little pat.
Did she? I thought she just picked up her jacket.
I could have sworn I see her pat her knee.
She does go over there. She walks by Willow.
Such a harsh move. I was like, oh my God.
She walks by Willow, and Willow just watches her walk out. Like, ouch.
Yep.
You know? So, and then she walks past Angel, too. And Angel's like, it was all on show for people.
Yeah.
So that was pretty brutal.
Yep.
Of Buffy. Outside in the alley behind the bronze, Cordelia follows her out, telling her that this was my favorite line. She says, "You're really campaigning for Bitch of the Year, aren't you? As defending champion, you nervous?" Yeah, that was my favorite line.
That was really good.
It was good. Cordelia basically just says, I don't like you, but since you saved the world a lot, I'm going to give you some advice. Like, you are going to lose your friends, even the ones that you have now.
Yeah.
Because you're acting like a bitch, basically.
Like your attitude is... No.
And she said it's your Joan Collins-tude. Joan Collins attitude, which is an actress that was on Dynasty. And her character was noticed to be, like, vengeful and ruthless. Mm. So she says she's acting like that. I've never seen Dynasty, have you? I know of it. Mm-mm. I've heard of it, but I've never seen it. Okay.
No, I don't.
So she tells her she's acting like that person's character. She tells Buffy, whatever she's dealing with, get over it.
Yep.
Which I don't think that is very helpful advice. But the rest of it...
It's not, yeah.
She's telling her you're pushing people away.
She does. Didn't she say at some point also to try to deal with her pain or something like that, though, too?
Yeah, face the pain.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, she's trying to tell her to heal. She's just doing it in a courty way.
Yeah, true. Courtified.
So she's trying. Yeah.
And then Buffy says, man your own business and leaves. And she's like, okay, I'm going to go see if Angel wants to dance.
I liked that. That was a nice one.
This is very Cordelia. And then she's grabbed by some vampires and pulled away.
Yeah.
So she's kidnapped.
And Buffy didn't even notice.
Nope. In the factory, we see Cordelia is taken to the factory and kind of like thrown in this room. And we see that Jenny Calendar is there and she's passed out.
Yeah.
So Cordelia is like, oh, Miss Calendar, but she's not conscious. So we really don't know what the deal is with her.
Yeah.
In the graveyard, Buffy is walking to see the Master's grave and finds that it's empty.
Yep.
Which is not good.
Mm-mm.
And then she turns and she has a kind of a hallucination that he's there next to her.
Yeah.
So another kind of flashback or hallucination that he's coming after her.
Yeah.
In the cafeteria the next day, so this is when Buffy's wearing that outfit.
Oh, okay.
And the same hairstyle and everything.
That's
so that
so
was
funny.
Shot supposed to be like that same day.
Okay.
Xander has come around to Willow's thinking that something's wrong with Buffy. Mm-hmm. But at first he's like, well, couldn't she just be attracted to me? He's like, no, she's possessed. You're right. Something's terribly, terribly wrong.
Yeah. Like maybe the Master transferred to Buffy or something like that.
Right, like something weird happened. Like, because he bit her, she died, he killed her, and then she killed him, and maybe something weird happened.
And then this is so actually, I'll say this tied with my favorite. So I have 2 favorite lines. Willow says the only explanation to why she's acting like such a bitch. And Giles is there, and he's like, aren't we all getting a little old to be spelling things out? And
then Xander says, what's a bicka?
Yeah, that whole interaction was, really good.
Yeah, so they're trying to convince Giles. Yeah. And he just says it right out. Yeah. He says, actually, I think it's more mundane than that she has just got some trauma from dealing with the Master and being killed by the Master.
Yeah, she didn't work through it. Yeah. She's never dealt with dying.
Giles, thanks. We could have dealt with this earlier. He doesn't seem like it a revelation to him. Yeah. He hasn't had too much interaction with Buffy in this episode, so maybe that's why he hasn't really seen it. But... yeah, he hits it on the head right away. Mm-hmm. And they're talking about her, and she starts coming up, and they're like, "Oh, we're talking about
Trout."
Okay.
Whatever.
And Giles was like, okay, this is what you've given me, so I have to go with it to like keep up the ruse that we weren't talking about you. So he's like, Trout is a fish. And he asked Buffy how she is or how she slept. And she says, great, or like a rock. The master's gone. And she says that she went by his grave and that it has a vacancy. They have taken the master's body.
And she gets upset with Giles for this.
Yeah. So she says, Buffy knows immediately. She knows the plan. She's like, they're going to try to bring him back to life. Mm-hmm. And Giles says, I've never heard of a revivification ritual being successful. She's like, but you knew about them. Like, why did you do this if we knew that it was a chance that they could try to bring him back? So she's like pissed off at him that she didn't even have this heads up or a warning that this could have been an option that somebody would try. And then Willow tries to kind of defend Giles, says, well, Giles, and then Buffy snaps at her and says, can we have a little less like interaction from the civilians, please?
This is Slayer stuff.
It's Slayer stuff. And then Xander snaps at Buffy for snapping at Willow, and it's like devolving very quickly.
Yep.
People are getting really annoyed at each other.
But then Snyder interrupts. So
yeah, he actually saves the day, kind of. He stops it from getting out of hand with the four of them. Yeah. And he says, don't you guys have a class to get to? And he's like, yes. Giles says, we will continue our conversation about Trout later. In the library, Giles finds a text about the ritual, but it's in Latin, which is an important note. And he says that in that revivification ritual, they need the master's bones, which we know they have, and they have to have the closest person to the master. So Buffy thinks it's her because they had that connection. The closest as in a connection. They killed each other. Right. He bit her. So she thinks it's me. Mm-hmm. They're trying to figure out where would this take place when a rock comes smashing through the window. I was like, so... Like, the funniest way they've sent a message, I feel like, in this whole... I know it's happened a few times. This is how vampires like to do this. I think it happens in season 4, I think, once, at least. I can't remember. But, there's a rock, and there's a note saying that Cordelia is at the Bronze, and she better come there and get her, or they're going to make her a meal. Yep. And Xander has that stupid line I'm not even going to justify what talking about. Oh, God, it's awful. And Cordelia's choker is wrapped around it as, like, proof that they have her. Yep. Yeah. So Buffy's like, okay, I have to go and get her and everything. And they're like, it's obviously a trap.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, she's like, I'm going alone. And they're like, no, like, we need to figure this out. And she just wants to do it on her own. But yeah, Willow's like, it's a trap.
She's very much being a lone wolf. Yep. And they're like, it's obvious to everyone it's a trap. So, like, you're just walking into a trap. You're putting Cordelia in danger. You're putting yourself in danger. Yep. And everything. And Willow gets, like, this is the most, like, outspoken we've seen Willow. She was like, well, why are you acting like this? Mm-hmm. Like, she's really getting, like, upset with Buffy. Yeah. And Buffy refuses their help and goes alone. Outside the Bronze, Buffy realizes that Angel's following her again. And
she's mean again. She's like, stalking isn't a turn on.
Yeah.
Wow.
She's annoyed. And he says, why are you riding me? Which I think is such a weird line for Angel to say.
I think that was like a 90s saying, though.
It's so weird. But Angel's not of the 90s.
That's true. Okay.
I mean, he's super old. It was just weird. Not that, like, the vampires have to talk, like, when they return, but it was just I feel like going forward, that just seems like a really weird thing for Angel to say. Like a terminology. True. Why are you riding me? I just put, ha 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 ha. It just seems so un-Angel. Which is odd to me. But he says he wants to help her, and she has this, like, weird thing where she wants to fight him.
Yeah, that was really weird.
She's like, why don't you kick my ass? Like, you must have wondered who would win out of the two of us. And he's like, I'm not going to fight you.
Yeah, that was really weird.
You need to, like, you can't do it alone. You need to be helped. And she's just, like, wants to be combative at every
And
turn.
He's trying to call her out on it. She doesn't trust him, though, so.
Mm-hmm, so she doesn't trust him. Yeah. And she's like, stay out of my way. So she goes into the Bronze, and Buffy sees a girl sobbing who is supposed to be, like, a decoy Cordy.
Looks like Cordy, but you can tell it's not.
Like, Buffy doesn't isn't fooled for 1 second.
No, I mean, well, first of all, they have her sobbing on the ground, which is not a Cordy thing.
It's like nobody fell for this. The audience fell for it. Buffy didn't fall for it. Nobody else fell for it. And Angel is there, even though she just told him to leave away. But he follows her in.
And he's like, that's bait.
Yeah.
Where's the hook?
Yeah.
Something's wrong here.
Yeah, it was obviously a trap, but the trap isn't happening,
No.
right? And they've grabbed that girl vampire, and they obviously know it's not Cordy.
Yeah.
And she's like, it is a trap, but not for me.
Yeah.
And in the library, we see Giles, Willow, and Xander are still researching the ritual.
Mm-hmm.
And he is kind of actually, it was kind of, well, Buffy misinterpreted it. Giles said it correctly, but Buffy took it one way. And he realizes now that when it was closest, it meant nearest. So Buffy was up in the skylight. Xander and Angel were out in the hallway. And Giles, Willow, Cordelia, and Miss Calendar were in the room in the library when he fell through. It was staked.
Yep.
So they realize, oh crap, it's us. Like the rest, of, not Xander, but the rest of us.
And then I think Giles says it is a trap, just not for her.
Right.
Like they realize they're surrounded by vampires.
Yeah, the vampires are in the stacks.
Yep.
It's like, oh no, that's not good.
Yeah.
In the bronze, Angel is basically holding the vamp Cordy as a hostage, and Buffy says to keep her alive unless you have to kill her. And she rushes to the library. She gets there in the library, and it's ransacked.
Yeah.
She finds Xander. She finds Xander kind of like on the floor. He's bleeding.
He's beat up. Yeah, damn.
Yeah, he's bleeding. And we find out that they took Giles and Willow. Mm-hmm. And he explains to her why they were taken, because she's like, why did they leave you? And she says, it's the closest. We know Courtney's gone, so it's likely they have Miss Calendar. So it's likely they have all of these, like, sacrifices.
Everybody, the one's closest to the Master when he died.
Yeah, so they think that they have, as Xander says, like, a complete set now. So they think they have everyone. And he says, this happened because you wouldn't work with us.
I'm glad he said that.
And she's like, okay, we just need to think. We need to think about where they would take them. And he says, if they hurt Willow, I'll kill you. Mm-hmm. That was insane that he said that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't think he had it in him.
Yeah.
I don't even know how I feel about him saying that.
He's just like, he's frustrated at her. He's angry with her.
I know.
Yeah.
But saying, I'll kill you if they hurt Willow, like he could even try. Like he couldn't.
Yeah, he wouldn't be able to.
It's just I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it.
So I feel like he's just saying that to wake her up. Maybe. To get her, I don't know. That's how I took it at least.
I mean, Xander is extremely emotional. So obviously he just, bah, I have emotion, bah, I'm just going to say things.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I was kind of surprised by that line. I had forgotten about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously they didn't take Xander because he wasn't close enough to the Master. He said, well, how are we going to find out where they took them? And she's like, Buffy thinks she knows. So they go back to the bronze. And this is actually a pretty cool, like, vampire torture. So Buffy...
Damn, yeah, she's harsh.
The vamp Cordy to get info about where they are. So she's like, I won't tell you. And she puts her on the pool table, opens her mouth, and puts the angel's cross necklace in her mouth and closes her mouth. So it's like burning all of her in her mouth and like smoking. And she's just holding her mouth closed. Yeah. That was insane. That was so creative.
Yeah. I
loved that. It was so like brutal.
And obviously she must have talked because the next scene.
Yeah, she talks. And in the factory, everyone is, well, Willow, Giles, Miss Calendar, and Cordelia are hanging over. Upside down, feet hanging up. Their arms are like hanging down. They're all unconscious. And they're hanging over the Master's bones that are like on this like big table.
It's super creepy.
Yeah. And Absalom's talking about how their blood will basically revive the Master. So they're going to cut their throats. Blood's going to all drip down on the Master's bones, and they're just going to bring him back. Buffy, Xander, and Angel are in the background watching, so they've arrived. Mm-hmm. And Xander, and Angel are going to, while Buffy fights the vampires, they're going to get everybody, the group, out from away from the Master and get them
rescue them.
Yeah, rescue them, get them untied and everything.
Yeah.
So Buffy starts fighting. Well, they're saying like kind of like a little, I don't know what it's like, a power circle from the puppet show, but for vampires. They're all getting psyched up to do this ritual. And I forget what word they say, but they each say something.
Yeah, I don't know.
And one vampire says it, and then you see a stake come through him, and he dusted. But Buffy is just standing there with her fists like this.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that too.
There's no stake.
Yeah, that was weird.
Like, you see the stake puncture him.
Yep.
And maybe she just put it in and left it there. Yeah, I don't know, but her hand, it just didn't line up for me.
Translate.
She just got her hands up like she's ready to punch, and it was just didn't didn't line up for me. So she's revealed herself, and now she just she's wailing on all of them while Xander and Angel try to get the group. Absalom comes at Buffy with a sledgehammer.
He says he's gonna grind her into a sticky paste.
Yeah, and then like you're gonna beg before I like smash your face in.
Oh my god!
Damn. He takes this seriously.
I mean, but he doesn't last long.
No.
She provokes him, and this was a very unique kill, I feel like. So she provokes him, and then she like, what is this? The fire stick? What is that?
It's like a torch.
Yeah, okay,
like
a
fire torch on a big
on the
pole.
ground, on a stake almost. Yeah. So she takes
something
it
you
out
would
of the
like
ground.
see it's something you'd see like at a luau.
Like a tiki.
Yeah, like a big tiki.
But it's like a metal one. It's like a
it's
very well structured one.
It's wood.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because the other end, she has with the other end.
So she breaks it. Yeah, obviously she breaks it in half. She wouldn't do that if it was metal. And then, she like stakes the one vampire, and then she lights him up.
Yeah, Absalom gets light on fire.
Yeah. Damn.
And, so it's a twofer. She takes out the last 2 vampires with one thing, one by fire, one by staking them. Yeah.
Yeah. So I tried to make a note about this in my margins so that if you ask me at our next season post-mortem, I'll remember that I liked this
It's
scene.
a good one. Yeah. And at this point, Giles and Xander have gotten everybody, not Giles, Angel and Xander have gotten everybody down. They're all kind of coming to, they're like, what?
They're all groggy.
But they're all okay. And Willow says, okay, it's over now. And Xander says, no, it's not. Yeah. So Buffy wanders over to the Master's bones and picks up the sledgehammer.
She looks terrified, to be honest. Like, she looks scared.
She picks up the sledgehammer that Absalom was going to make her body into paste with. And she just starts hammering. Yeah. That was the question, the weapon. I guess.
Oh, was it?
Now that I'm like, was it a weapon? Did she just pushed him up? Maybe I didn't word that very well.
That's okay. It obviously wasn't a baseball bat, though. Sledgehammer. Okay.
But yeah, she just pulverizes his bones.
Yeah. So
she's obviously working through. Yeah. I mean,
no revivification in future for this guy.
And it's also her working through
her trauma. Yeah. This is actually good. This is healing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then she just starts crying.
Yeah.
Which is really sad. And it's good, but it's sad.
Yeah, it is good.
You feel for her.
Yeah,
and then
definitely.
She just kind of cries into Angel's like chest. Mm-hmm. And I like that. I don't have a problem with it, but I wish it would have been Giles.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't mind. I mean, Angel probably I would have preferred second.
Yeah, okay.
You know, I mean, I don't think it should have been Willow or Xander. Or Miss Calendar, obviously. Like, who are you?
Yeah. But, okay, Giles would have been a nice touch, you're right.
I feel like Giles would have been more satisfying for me.
Yeah, okay. That's fair.
Yeah, so they're just all watching, and they know that she's working through her trauma. Mm-hmm. In the quad, Cordelia's talking about the worst thing about all of this, about almost being your throats cut, was the stains on her clothes.
Obviously, that is the
Miss
worst
Calendar's
part.
like, yeah, I know what
That's
you
the
mean.
worst part.
That
Yeah,
is
stains
the worst.
are harsh.
Yeah, so bad. Buffy is talking to Giles that she's scared to face Willow and Xander because she was acting out.
So mean.
She was mean, acting out, pushing everyone away.
Yep.
And Giles tries to comfort her, but he really doesn't do it for me.
No, he doesn't.
He's like, this isn't the worst thing you ever do.
I mean, he's
I get it. Though. I get it. But like, he wasn't there for her. Like, he's not being there for her.
Yeah.
And maybe he's still learning. Like, he has had this daughter figure.
He doesn't
in his
know
life
what to say.
Not long.
Yeah.
But like, I was disappointed in his like role or his lack of a role in her like dealing with this, because that's his job. Yeah. Like, even like if you take it like away from him caring about her, his job is to make sure she's mentally, physically sound to do her job, and she obviously is not. Yeah. So I feel like he's too busy making googly eyes at Miss Calendar. So I feel like he wasn't there for her.
Okay, I'm hoping that he develops his character more over the season.
Yeah, I feel like he was going in the right direction, and this episode I was like...
Derailed it a bit, yeah.
I was just annoyed.
Yeah.
I would say Willow was the best one of everybody.
Yeah, actually.
She didn't really... I mean, yeah. Out of everyone, I think Willow was the best one.
She tried the most.
Yeah, she tried the most. She was the first one to, like, get onto it, express concern to others, and everything.
Try to get through to her.
Yeah, so I think Willow handled it the best.
Yeah.
And I was just disappointed that Giles wasn't, like, on top of it right away and there for her.
Yeah.
Like, right away.
I thought it was a nice touch in the next scene where she walks in and she's really nervous, gets into class, and she kind of looks at them, and they're like, okay, well, we saved a seat for you. And they just try to act basically like normal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like they just accept her back in. And I don't know if you noticed, but it was the cheesiest music ever playing.
It was weird.
What was that?
It was very 90s. Very 90s.
It was so
bad. Like, it's kind of like the pack thing with Xander. I feel like it would have been worth having a conversation about what she was going through with them.
I think
it
so
just got
too.
like, it was like rug up, sweep, 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 sweep.
Exactly.
Rug
Yeah,
down.
I agree. Yeah.
And that is something that we see a lot in the show, to be honest. Like, issues are not worked out. They're not.
Do you feel like that's just
a
teenager thing, though? I feel like when I was a teenager, it was similar. Like we didn't really talk about our issues. We just swept them under the rug too.
Yeah, I guess there's 2 points to that. Like, yes, but then I feel like they're operating on a different level than normal teenagers. Like, they're dealing.
That's true. I guess you're right.
I don't know. You're definitely right.
Yeah. Teenagers
I'm expecting them to be more mature than they are.
Teenagers aren't great at expressing themselves. They don't
That's
know
true.
how to work through their stuff, I feel like. So I think they're trying to do the best they can. Yes, they could do better. They definitely could. But I mean, and Xander said something. I didn't write it down. He said something kind of cute that like made it
About
just
doing to the bronze, and he said, "Oh, we could pulverize our enemies.
Yes.
But we did that last night."
Yeah, I thought that was cute because he was just like, saying like, hey, like,
he acknowledged it.
yeah, we're here for you.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, you're right. I think I'm trying to like hold them to some adult standard, and they're not.
Because they're being thrust into adulthood, kind of.
Yeah, and maybe that's why I'm so hard on Giles, because he's not a child.
Yeah, that's right.
He's a grown man, and he should know that Buffy needs like some help.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why I'm so hard on him on this episode. So
Okay.
yeah, so everybody's happy again. Everything's fine.
Except the last scene.
Yes, we go to the factory.
This made
This
me
is
laugh.
Colin's best moment so far. He walks in, because we forgot to mention, though, like when Buffy comes in and everything starts going crazy, Absalom, like, gets Colin out of there.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's there when they're going to do the ritual and everything. He, like, kind of gets him out of there.
Yeah.
So later, Colin comes back, everyone's dead.
Yeah, of course. And he finds part of the master's, a tiny bit of his skull.
Yeah, he's like, okay, well, this isn't going to work out. And he says, I hate that girl.
I like that. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, that's it. Best moment. Colin's best moment so far.
Yeah. You were right. He did come back. I remember you saying that from the last podcast.
Yeah, so he's still around.
Guess we're gonna see more of him.
He's
He
still
keeps
around.
losing all of his lackeys though. What is he gonna do?
I know. He put on the help wanted ads. Vampire lackeys wanted. No pay. Lackey internship. Great for your resume.
Oh man.
Yeah, so that's when she was bad.
Okay. She was bad.
When she was bad.
Hopefully she's good now.
I know, in one episode, one rage room on the Master's bones and a cry and she's fine now, right?
That's
Now she's gonna be fine. Like, that's all it took.
cathartic. It was cathartic.
That's all it took to get over being killed by somebody and then brought
That's
back
right.
to life. So my favorite scene was Buffy smashing the Master's bones
Okay.
and then like crying to Angel, like coming to terms with all of it. And then my favorite line, which you mentioned, was, "You're really campaigning for Bitch of the Year, aren't you? As defending champion, you nervous?"
That was really good. I like your favorite scene. I do. However, I think I'm gonna have to go with the one at the beginning where Giles is with Miss Calendar and Snyder's talking. It's just so cute. I don't know. I think that's my favorite scene where they're like all googly eyes at each other. So it's a little less deep than your scene, but
No, I would say that's close second.
And then I have two favorite lines. So yeah, tied. The one where it's just a bunch of hormonal time bombs, and the one where the only explanation why she's acting like such a bitch, and Giles is like, "We're all a little old to be spelling things out."
That's so Willow. It's cute because it's so Willow to be like, bitch. Oh my gosh, I'm so bad.
Swear.
I said a bad word. I spelled a bad word, Giles. I'm so terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are great. So my steak rating, I gave it a 4 out of 5.
I did too, actually.
Yeah. I was, like we talked about, I was disappointed in Giles and others' approach or lack of approach to helping Buffy. The Xander dance.
That was gross. Yeah, no.
And for once, it wasn't because of Xander.
Yeah, right, eh?
I liked seeing Buffy's dad again, expressing concern for her and being there, being present. I liked seeing, not liked, but I liked that they addressed some level of trauma for what Buffy had went through in the season finale of last season.
Yeah.
I liked that wasn't just totally swept under the rug.
Yeah.
That she was just like, fine. So we obviously know she's been struggling with this all summer. So I was glad to see that it was addressed.
Yeah.
I loved like how they tied up the master's bones thing, like where she just pulverized it.
Yeah.
I just thought that was really well done. I didn't like the awkward angel convos. They didn't do it for me.
No.
I get it. Like they were supposed to be awkward, but I just didn't really care for them. So that's why I gave it a 4.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. I gave it a 4. I mean, a lot of what you said, but also just like I didn't like the way Buffy acted in this episode. Like I feel like she could have been at a point where she, should have reached out more, talked more, like figured her stuff out more. Like I know she dealt with a lot, but I just like she had dealt with a lot previously in the season too, and I just thought that she knew those were her people and they would be able to help her and that she could have worked it out with them. So yeah, that kind of bugged me.
Yeah, there's definitely a theme in the show of like, because this is we don't know a lot about the other Slayers at this point, but Buffy having a family, a social circle, a support system is not something other Slayers have had. Okay. They're very lone wolves. They have like their watchers and that's like it. And from what we know, generally speaking, like I know there's a few exceptions for people who are like, what about, but generally speaking, that's what they said. That's why Buffy is like such a powerful Slayer, because she has like a support system and everything. But there's always that other side of it too, where she feels like she carries this burden alone and that she should carry it alone. And that there's certain situations when they shouldn't be involved and all this. So this is a theme that we'll see again for sure. Okay. Like when she should be a lone wolf, when she should rely on friends, when she shouldn't, when she can't, when she feels like they just can't understand.
Okay.
You know?
That's fair.
So, all those things could be playing into this.
Okay.
For sure. But yeah, she was a bitch. She was a bicka.
Yeah, she was.
She was a bicka. She was a bicka in this episode, tell you.
Oh my god.
And this is like the most the word bitch has been referred to in an episode. Cordelia said it. Willow spelled it. It's funny. Okay. So that's when she was bad.
Okay.
Your question for the next episode, which is Some Assembly Required, is the name. Buffy and Xander catch Giles practicing something. What is it?
Practicing something?
Yeah.
And they
practicing doing something. Yeah.
Practicing doing something. Dancing.
Oh my. Okay. that would be interesting.
Okay, so that's probably not the right answer. All right. Well, who catches him again? Willow and Xander?
Buffy and Xander.
Oh, Buffy and Xander.
Yeah. Believe me, you're like the answer.
I was like, it can't be learning a language. Yeah, I don't know.
It is something that he's embarrassed to be caught doing.
I would think it would be dancing.
That would be embarrassing. For Giles, for sure.
Now I'm curious. All right. Guess we'll find out.
We'll find out. Yeah. Okay, so that wraps up season 2, episode 1, When She Was Bad. Again, you can find us on all major podcast apps and YouTube and Instagram at One Girl in All the World Pod. And you can email us at onegirlpod@gmail.com. And don't forget to go over to your favorite app, whatever you're listening on, and give us 5 stars or a review. That'd be great. So thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week with episode 2, Some Assembly Required. So slay you real soon.
Bye, guys.